Hey, what's up guys? This is ColbyCheeZe with OnRPG, and today I'm doing a review of Spiral Knights. This game is a simple hack and slash dungeon crawler MMO style game, and it was created by 3 Rings and Sega. The best comparison to this style of gameplay that Spiral Knights brings, I'd have to say, would probably be The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords, if you've played that. Spiral Knights was one of the 4 initial games released to Steam that are free-to-play style, which I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of in the future as well. So the general gist of the game is that you've just crash landed on some planet, and in order to restore the energy required to escape, or at least I suppose that's what you're trying to do, you've got to explore the planet's clockworks, as they call it, and eventually you have to make it to the core of the planet where some big energy signature has been detected. So that's kind of the storyline there. You and up to 3 of your friends can go down into the Clockworks, which are a series of dungeons that get harder and harder as you progress. There's a total of 30 that you can do up, pretty much in one go, I suppose. And they're split into 3 different tiers. You'll start at level 0 and head all the way down to 29, so 30 in total.
Does not look good.
Doesn't look good at all. Oh, geez, it revives them.
Oh, snap.
I think we have to go kill it.
That is not nice. There we go. Shock. What does it do to us?
Oh, have to move it. Move it somewhere.
Can I move it? Yeah. What?
The cool thing about it is that you don't actually have to know a bunch of friends to join with you. You'll automatically be matched with a group of people if you so choose. And from my experience in playing the game, everyone that I've been grouped with has been really nice and fun to play with. You can do voice chat if you'd like, but that's mostly for if you have Steam friends on there as well. Another cool thing is that if you do join this using Steam, your Steam friends that start playing the game will automatically join up as well, and you can add those people to a party if you want to play with them. Now, let's say you do a couple of levels in the dungeon and then you leave and you want to come back and play it another time and you rejoin the dungeon. It's actually going to be a completely different set of levels. Each time that you go down, it will be randomized a little bit. However, some of the levels are actually reskinned versions of the previous ones and have different themes like ice instead of fire, or they may have different levels of enemies in them. But for the most part, you will see a bit of a mix-up as you keep going back and redoing these levels once again. As far as the gear is concerned, you're going to have a melee weapon that you can use, and then you can switch to a ranged weapon of a few pieces of armor, such as your helm and chest piece and things of that nature. You're able to actually upgrade your gear by crafting new recipes that you find from vendors. You'll have to buy the recipes with crown, which is the currency that you find in the game, and you also find these drops from the various different enemies in the game also. So they'll drop these little pieces of armor or cloth or nuts and bolts, and these recipes, you just find enough of these pieces, you'll be able to craft the armor. You also have the choice of actually buying your gear from the in-game auction house if you don't feel like looking for all the different pieces of gear or recipe items and things of that nature. And in fact, it may even be better for you to just find one recipe that you want to craft and then look for those items and maybe just sell the crafting items on the auction house for more crown and then just buy the gear that you want. It just kind of depends on your individual play style. In addition to the actual armor and weapons and gear that you're going to be getting, you can also get a various amount of capsules that drop in the levels, and they're just temporary items that will expire if you leave back to town, but you can use them to throw at enemies or little fire pots or little freezing pots or things like that. It'll just do a little bit of extra damage to the enemies. You can also pick up capsules that'll heal you or remove status effects, so that's kind of a nice addition to the game as well. There's a resource in the game called energy, and they use this for various different things, such as actually progressing to the next level. So in order to go down to the next level, you have to spend 10 energy. And to open certain gates within the game that are locked and have loot behind them, you have to use a little bit of energy. Also, if you die, you'll have to use energy to revive your champion. And so each time you die, you actually have to spend even more, though. Now, energy is important because if you run out of energy, then there's no way to proceed further into the game. The only way to regenerate your energy is to either spend your crown on it, which you actually need to save up for your gear, or you can buy it using real world currency. And so that's kind of the microtransaction model of the game. You're given around enough energy to last you for approximately 2 hours, just enough to have some casual play in the game, so that should be fine for most people. Now, while you can spend your crown on buying new energy, you would probably want to save that crown in order to buy better gear. So let's talk about that. There are varying levels of difficulty as you progress down into the clockworks. So you have 3 different tiers of difficulty in your dungeons. There's going to be a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3. And of course, as I said earlier, there are 30 levels in total. Tier 1 lasts until, I believe, level 8, and then tier 2 lasts until around, I think, 16 or 20, and then the rest after that is tier 3. As you progress into the later tiers, of course, you're going to have more enemies. They're going to be harder, not only with like more health and life and things like that, but they actually get smarter. They'll do things like dodge your attacks and try and flank you and do things of that nature. The only way to pass into the next tier is to actually have your gear upgraded to a point that is acceptable. Your gear is rated and with basically a star rating. So as you start off, you have gear with a rating of 0, and then the highest gear in the game is a rating of 5 stars. In order to progress, for instance, to tier number 2, you have to have a full set of gear with a star rating of at least 2 stars, and that will allow you to progress into the later tiers. Otherwise, you have to just continue rerunning those first 8 dungeon levels in tier 1 until you're able to afford the gear that is required to move on. Another cool thing about the game is that as you proceed down into the dungeons, there's a difficulty meter which will light up differently to let you know, based on how deep you are in the dungeons, how much danger you are going to be in based on your current gear. So obviously it does get more dangerous as you go down, and that's going to kind of help you out to say, oh, maybe I should go back up to town and restart some of the easier levels before I continue, since my gear is not really up to par yet. At the end of each tier, you're actually going to face an arena level. Now, these are pretty cool. It's you're only required to beat the first round of enemies that come at you. You're in just this little square arena level, and so there's not a lot of room to run around and hide. You have to actually fight out these enemies, and they're pretty tough, and they come in quite frequent amounts. So if you want the best gear, however, you're going to want to continue on to the next fight and the next fight. And at least for tier 1, you have 3 rounds of matches for the arena, which get much more difficult up until the very last one. But if you do beat it, you get tons of great gear at the end, a lot of chests that you can unlock and loot to pilfer and things of that nature. So for overall, my thoughts on the game, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's a fun, relaxing, casual style hack and slash game, and I always tell everyone, I mean, hack and slash games are my favorite style of games. Doesn't really take too much to it, and I do like difficult games. This game does have quite a bit of difficult elements to it. You have to dodge enemies correctly to stop from taking damage, and then you can use your shield wisely. If you get surrounded, you have to use your shield, but it can only take a certain amount of hits before it expires, and then you have to wait for it. So there is a little bit of strategy involved with the hack and slash, so I do like that. There's not a lot of variety in that. There's no spells and things of that nature that you can cast. It's more of just click, 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 click. So in that sense, I don't really like that there's not a lot of variety in there. More the variety is just in picking up different weapons that you buy, and so from a longevity standpoint, I don't really feel like this game has a ton to offer if you are a hardcore gamer. I'd say that you're only going to have a few weeks at most of game time with this before you've already maxed out all of your gear and whatnot. Otherwise, if you're just looking for a casual, fun game to play through with some friends online and just just pick up some great gear and experience some great artwork and some great music at that. It does feature some of the best music that I've heard in a game in a while. Then you definitely want to play this game, especially seeing that it is free to play. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure you will as well. And as always, if you want to learn more about the game, be sure to check out our website, OnRPG.com. And we also have some discussions going on the boards at onrpg.com/boards. So if you do like the video, be sure to click that like button, subscribe to our channel. We're going to have a lot more coverage for you guys coming soon on all your favorite RPGs and free-to-play games. So I'll see you guys around next time. This is ColbyCheeZe. Peace out.
Charging it up. I'm just gonna fire. Throw stuff.
Fire my laser! Oh, did you get hit by that?
Maybe, I don't know. Oh yeah.
Boom!